Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Got my son's 450 in the garage, getting it prepped for Hatfield McCoy. And I want to discuss Polaris bushings and why they suck. And no matter what you do and how much maintenance you give them, how often you grease them, they are never going to give you a long life. And it's a complete waste of your time and money to replace bushings on your machine back with Polaris bushings. Couple of things as to why they fail. Starting off, the metal sleeves inside are not hard enough to begin with, and they very easily wear. If you can see the amount of wear on that right there, this machine is not a year old. Okay, the reason that it fails has to do with the outside edge of the bushing. There's sort of a seal there, but not. So what happens is the dirt gets in there, and then it's held by the grease, and it just turns into like a sanding compound. Now, if you watch here, when I first slide this onto to this bushing, there is a ton of slop. Okay, go down a little bit further, still a ton of slop. Okay, because that's just that last section that's on the outside where the dirt gets and rides and does most of the wear. When I slide it in, the back section of the bushing isn't as worn and it doesn't slop around. Now, that lets these longer ones last a little bit, but your typical A-arm bushings on the Polaris are only about that deep. So the dirt gets right in there and the grease holds it and just eats them away. So replacing them back with Polaris will inevitably put you back in the same spot. The other theory I have as to why the bushings don't last on the Polaris compared to, say, like Honda or some of the other ones is the capability and ride quality of the Polaris is much better and gives a plusher ride, meaning what that translates into is you can go harder over harder terrain and not realize how much you're really working the suspension on these machines, and it's moving a lot more than you think it is. However, going with, say, garage product replacement bushings, their bushings are an oil impregnated, I believe it's UHMW. So as it wears or as it moves, it actually releases its own lubricant. But the main reason those are a superior bushing is on either end, they have O-rings that completely seal out the water and mud and the dirt and the dust. And when you can keep the inside clean, you extend the life of the bushing exponentially. And on those, you don't actually, if you go to the garage product, other than during assembly, you use a little bit of a synthetic grease, you no longer have to grease your machine going forward with those bushings, and they're a lifetime guarantee on those. So I recommend them. I have some on the way for several of our machines, and but right now we're getting ready for Hatfield. I happen to already have these front bushings already here, so I had a lot of slop in this. This was my son's machine, so I kept the original inner sleeve. It was worn, but these bushings are sacrificial, so I had no problem just putting them in there. They're new. They won't last very long, but they will last through this Hatfield McCoy trip and until the garage product bushings get here. Other things we got going on, just getting this machine maintenance up. We tore a boot on the axle, and it got full of mud, so we have put in a replacement axle. When I put that back in, I used a ton of anti-seize on it. I'm going to be pulling the belt cover, blowing that all out, and I got hopefully these bushings will actually be in because they are completely shot. So I want to get that taken care of prior to leaving. You can see there that little ding mark. That was me. Let me see if I can zoom you in on this better. That was me testing to see the hardness of it, and it, with the smallest hammer I own, which is pretty small, and just a slight tap, I was able to ding that pretty good. So the hardness on these isn't what it's going to take to get long wear out of them. Other than that, this machine should be good to go. The 550, the neglected 550 that we had featured before, the rear differential is, the bolts have actually come loose for the rear differential. Let me rephrase that. They haven't come loose, but they have actually worn. Let me see if I have one here. The shoulders have worn out on them, and the rear differential, you can see it. See how it's worn right through here? The rear differential is actually shaking around inside of the frame and causing a heck of a clunk. And on top of that, we have the dreaded voltage regulator. And I can demonstrate for you guys what it's doing here if you want to see, so that you know what to check for yourself. It's kind of sort of common issue. When we start this machine up, okay, you'll see in just a second the power steering will stop working. Now it's going to make a fool of me, and the battery light comes on. So, okay, you see how this blinks and you hear the machine rev up slightly? Now, I will put this on the negative and put this over here on our positive. And you can see the voltage is way out of range. It should be 12, maybe 13 at the most. So that's causing the power steering to not want to work, and cause the machine to fluctuate. They can also cause other problems, like the machine not wanting to run. And it'll start melting up where this plug goes through. They'll start to melt in there if they're left unchecked. So if you start having issues, so all you need to do is get a multimeter, check how it's charging, and then you'll know what's going on. And it typically 99.9% of the time is going to be your voltage regulator. This machine's been pretty good ever since we went through it. The 850 Sportsman is actually at the dealership right now. The pinion seal on the rear differential is leaking, and the clutch started to make a lot of noise on it, and it's in there getting warranty work done to it. So this one here, the 450, it's been a pretty good machine. The only failure we had was a thumb throttle when it was pretty well new. And that's it, other than these bushings. Now we've put front brakes on it. We had the front left wheel bearing failed on it this winter prior to going to Hatfield over New Year's. So, but no real complaints. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base with you guys. Tell you to just do not waste your money on replacing your bushings with Polaris stuff. It's not worth it. Just wait, save your money, buy once, cry once, get garage product, and you will never regret it. and you won't be spending all your time maintaining, greasing, and replacing and buying expensive bushings all the time. Like I said, you'll have it done and over with, and you'll enjoy your machine that much more. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for hanging out in the Quad Builder Garage, and I will talk to you later.